Welcome to the visitor orientation for the Charleston Gloves and Sleeves plants. As part of this training, we will cover the following topics: an overview of what we do, contractor and visitor responsibilities, site HSE rules, site-specific hazards, equipment, non-routine risk assessments, emergency alarms, emergency response contacts, and evacuation muster points and shelter-in-place locations. The glove and sleeve facilities produce Lyman electrically insulating gloves and sleeves for use in the electrical safety markets. The plants utilized flammable solvents to dissolve the natural rubber into a liquid state. From there, ceramic forms are dipped into the liquid rubber, coating the forms and forming the gloves and sleeves. The solvent is then evaporated and reclaimed through a solvent recovery unit for reuse in the process. Contractors will work safe in all areas and obey the rules and regulations set forth in this orientation and any additional measures covered in task, specific permits, or procedures. Contractors shall conduct a documented HSE risk assessment with a scope and depth that is appropriate based on the scope of work and its potential hazards. Contractors will make all site-specific documents available to their site representative or site HSE representative upon request. Contractors must ensure that they sign in and out as they arrive to and depart from the site. All health, safety, and environmental incidents must be reported immediately. All gates must be secured behind you. Smoke only in designated areas. Access the plant only through areas that you are designated to enter. All contractors, vendors, and visitors must wear their company's logo uniform and/or ID badge or provided temporary badge. All contractors, vendors, and visitors must sign into the site logs and present proof of training. Contractors may sign in at the following locations: main office building at the gloves plant, maintenance shop at the gloves plant, front office at the sleeves plant. Smoking is only allowed in designated areas at the gloves and sleeves. Smoking is not allowed anywhere else on site, including parking lots. Contractors may smoke next to the CR9 warehouse at the gloves plant and between CR14 and CR15 at the sleeves plant. Food is allowed in offices, break rooms, and outdoors. Drinks must be in sealed and labeled containers. The minimum PPE when in the lab, production areas, and maintenance is safety glasses and steel-toed safety shoes. All safety signs located throughout the plant must be abided by. There are various chemicals and solvents on site. Please contact your site representative if you would like to see the safety data sheets for any chemicals you may come into contact with. Additionally, QR codes are available throughout the plant that grant free access to a searchable SDS database. When working with or near liquids, consult your site contact for the proper PPE and do not dispose of any liquids to the ground or down a drain. The plant is secured at all times by a fence and gates. Any visitor that must use gates to bring equipment onto the site must ensure the gates are locked behind them. Good housekeeping must be practiced at all times. Debris created by visiting parties must be cleaned up by said party. Visiting parties will not be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. All knives used by visiting parties must be a self-retracting or a safety-style knife. The use of pocket knives is not permitted while on site. The Charleston, South Carolina facilities are covered under Process Safety Management, Standard 1910.119. This is due to the amounts of flammable chemicals in use at the facility. Covered processes include tank farm all mixing rooms, CR7 dip room, CR11 dip room, CR14 dip room, and the solvent recovery units. The primary chemicals in use at the site are the solvents used to dissolve the rubber and form the rubber dip cement. The primary hazards of these chemicals include fire, explosion, and spills. The complete process overview information can be found in Site Work Instruction, PSM 001WI. Specific PSM procedures and site requirements can be found in the site's Health, Safety, and Environmental Management System 800 series documents. Questions regarding PSM and any other HSE related information can be directed to your site contact. Under no circumstances are cameras, cell phones, iPods, flashlights, and key fobs allowed in classified areas of the plant. Only intrinsically safe equipment may be used in these areas. DIP room PPE requirements include safety shoes, flame-resistant clothing, respirator, safety glasses, and bunk cap. Mixed room, solvent recovery unit, and tank farm PPE requirements include safety shoes, flame-resistant clothing, and safety glasses. There are installations of asbestos-containing material present on-site. All installations are labeled with a yellow label with black wording describing it as asbestos-containing. Do not disturb any asbestos unless you are authorized to do so, and report all observations of damaged asbestos to your site contact as soon as observed. Contractors are responsible for providing their own equipment to perform the work or task. The use of site equipment such as mobile stairways, powered equipment, power tools, etc. is strictly prohibited unless permission is granted by site representative, the permission is included as part of the service agreement or via a contractor equipment use agreement, HSEMS-323-F11, and the contractor has appropriate training to use the equipment. All contractors and their subcontractors will be required to complete a non-routine risk assessment, NRRA, prior to beginning work. The NRRA must be reviewed with your site representative before beginning work to ensure the controls are adequate and implemented. The NRRA will assist visitors and contractors with identifying hazard tasks, required permits, control plans, and risk levels. The NRRA includes a step-by-step process that will help the visitor or contractor identify the hazards, required permits, control plans, and risk levels. Your Honeywell representative should provide you with the NRRA document prior to beginning work. Both Honeywell plants have multiple alarms that may sound in the event of an emergency. The first alarm we will discuss are the chlorine alarms. If the sleeves chlorination alarm A inside CR14 is triggered, all personnel located in CR14 must evacuate and congregate at the muster point located at the front of the building. Inform personnel in the DIP room via radio and/or paging system to evacuate. If the sleeves chlorination alarm B at the outside chemical room is triggered, all personnel located in CR15 must congregate in the CR15 conference room. Personnel located in CR14 should remain in the production area. If the gloves chlorination alarm inside TO23 sounds, all personnel located in TO23 must evacuate upwind and barricade off the building to prevent personnel from entering. The second alarm we will discuss is the fire alarm. In the event of a fire, the facility emergency alarm will be sounded either manually or automatically. The alarm can be engaged manually by the pull stations, which are typically located near building entrances and stairways. The system can also be engaged automatically by a system of smoke, temperature, and infrared monitors. The fire alarm system is monitored around the clock by an alarm company that will notify emergency responders. The fire alarm is also equipped with a voice messaging system that will enunciate a fire exists and the location of the fire. Your job in the event of fire is to perform the following tasks. 1. Activate the nearest alarm if not already activated. If possible, provide your name, location, and nature of the fire to site leadership, supervisor, and/or emergency coordinator. 2. Evacuate to the closest muster point and check in with the captain of the muster point. Muster point locations are posted throughout the facility. Remain at the muster point until the all clear is given. 3. Do not engage in firefighting activities unless you have received fire extinguisher training and the fire is small or to utilize the fire extinguisher as a means of escape. Muster points at the gloves plant are located in front of CR9 on Azalea Drive, behind the main office building, and behind CR7 on Pringle Street. Shelter-in-place locations are scattered throughout both facilities, but typically include bathrooms, break rooms, and office spaces. In the event that there is a release from the relief device on the propane storage tank, the following alarm shall sound. In addition, if you see a vapor cloud coming from the propane storage and vaporizer system or smell a strong natural gas odor, alert the nearest Honeywell representative. Personnel located in the main office building shall shelter in place. Otherwise, all personnel shall proceed to the Pringle Street muster point. Depending on site conditions, it may be necessary for personnel at the Pringle Street muster point to proceed further down Pace Street or Pringle Street if it appears that propane vapors are or might be migrating towards the muster point. Your muster captain will provide you with instructions upon arriving at the muster point. The muster point for the Sleaze plant is located at the front of the facility. All muster points and shelter-in-place locations are identified with signage. In conclusion, all contractors will work safe in all areas and obey the rules and regulations set forth in this orientation and any additional measures covered in task-specific permits. Contractors must report HSE incidents immediately to their representative. Contractors will consult with their representative to address issues, concerns, or needs while on site. Please stay safe while visiting our site. Thank you. For visitors who need to complete Firewatch training, please continue watching, and Firewatch training will begin in a few moments.
Before the issuance of a permit and initiation of hot work, one or more persons must be designated as the fire watch. Multiple persons may be needed if the work occurs at multiple levels or on more than one side of a wall. Fire watch duties include continuously observing for adverse conditions, such as fires, spills, or a change in conditions as specified by the hot work permit. If any of these occur, the fire watch will take appropriate mitigating actions and immediately report the concerns to those performing the work and the operating department's primary responsible person. All fires must be reported. A fire watch will have an appropriate type of fire extinguisher within reach whenever hot work is in progress. The area's permanently located fire extinguisher shall not be relocated without permission from the operating department's primary responsible person. The fire watch should have some kind of identification or article of clothing that indicates that they are the fire watch. The fire watch will only attempt to extinguish fires that are within the capacity of the equipment available and within their range of expertise. The fire watch will have reliable methods for initiating the site emergency communication protocol and for communicating with those performing the work. The fire watch is prohibited from performing other duties in conjunction with his or her fire watch duties. Once the hot work begins, and for 30 minutes thereafter, the fire watch is on duty to visually inspect for fire or the possibility of fire. Hot work may occur intermittently during a job, and the fire watch must remain for 30 minutes at the hot work location each time hot work occurs. The fire watch is also responsible for monitoring the gas meter in instances where continuous gas monitoring is required. Start by holding down the on-off button until the meter turns on. The meter will run through a self-test that will last about a minute. The fire watch should monitor the lower explosion limit, or LEL, in the upper right-hand corner. If the LEL reaches 5%, the fire watch should stop all hot work operations. To turn off the meter, hold down the on-off button for 5 seconds. This concludes the fire watch training. Thank you.